I lost 6 kg in 2 weeks and kept almost all of it off, and in this video I'm going to tell you exactly how I did it. I'm going to cover the mistakes I made, the things I would change, and whether I'd do it again or not. Let's dive in. So over the 2 weeks I went from 89.6 down to 83.8. So not exactly 6 kg, so sue me. But I actually did it in 13 days, so if I had kept going the extra day, I probably would have got 6 kg. I actually stopped a day short because it was a rare sunny day in Ireland and we did a family beach day and I just fancied some extra calories. Before we fully dive in and I tell you exactly how I did it step by step, I do need to warn you.
Warning! 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 Warning!
This approach absolutely works and is absolutely safe, but there are some people who 100% should not do this. Millhouse, you're cut. If you have a bad relationship with food, then you should not do this. You need to focus on fixing that relationship with food. Otherwise, you're just going to end up back at the start anyways. If you have a history of yo-yo dieting, then you can do this, but I don't personally think it's your best option. I think starting slow and building habits that you can maintain long term is. But you can do it under one condition. It needs to be under the supervision of a professional who can coach you through it and coach you out of it. Because believe it or not, coming out of it and the week after was harder than actually sticking to the diet. And that person can also help you combine this approach with some habit building that will make it stick long term. So why did I do it? It's something I'd always wanted to try just as an experiment for myself. And there are some very well-respected researchers and coaches in the industry who speak very highly of this approach and use it themselves. The time just happened to line up where I had 2 weeks where I didn't have a lot on, no family nights, no social nights, nothing like that. So I thought, why not give it a shot? Most people would probably find something better to do with 2 clear weeks, but here we are. So because I decided on Sunday to start on Monday like a real classic dieter, I didn't really have a whole lot of prep time. I knew what my maintenance calories were, which was roughly 3,100, and I had seen people doing 1,000 calories a day, but I didn't really fancy going that extreme. So I set myself a target of 12 to 1,400 calories a day, which would be less than half of my maintenance calories. Now here's the thing, I'm quite an active person. I get my 8 to 10,000 steps in a day. I train 6 days a week, some weeks 7 because I just really enjoy it. So in order for this to work, I needed to keep that activity level up. If I just let my activity level drop completely, then my maintenance calories would drop and I wouldn't be in as much of a deficit as I would if I kept it up. Now I adjusted my training and the things I was doing, but we'll talk about that later in the video. So I was eating 12 to 1,400 calories a day. So what did a day of eating look like for me? So I'll flash my MyFitnessPal somewhere up on the screen and we'll go through it. So the start of every day, I fasted pretty much as long as I could, which was roughly 1 to 2 o'clock. I had some coffee in the morning, but that was it. Every day started with a piece of fruit and a protein source before the gym. I'd hit the gym, get my workout done, and then post-workout was absolutely always, and still is, even when I'm not doing something like this. It just has way more calories in it, but my delicious Weetabix cheesecake. Other than those 2 things, I just made sure I had a big ass salad every day because I wanted to make sure I was getting as much nutrients in as I could because I was consuming so few calories. I used low-calorie jelly pots and some Sweet Freedom chocolate sauce as a little bit of a snack that didn't take a whole lot of calories. Other than that, my protein target was about 165 to 175 grams a day, so most of my food other parts of the day was just protein sources. Things like turkey rashers, 5% mince, turkey mince, chicken breast, even the odd protein bar here and there. I was using protein powder some days, but then I got a tip off a friend on Instagram to ditch that and actually eat a packet of ham or some sort of food because it would be more filling, and that made a pretty big difference. On day 1, my calories were 1,454, and on day 13, they were 1,505. But apart from those 2 days, they were between 13 and 1,400, and 1 or 2 days in the 1,200s the whole time. And as crazy as it sounds, it wasn't that difficult. Because I was fasting for so long, I had a snack before the gym, went to the gym, say 2 o'clock, got home around 3, maybe a little bit after 3, and then had most of my calories between 3 and 8. That's not a huge amount of time, so I was eating a decent amount of food in a small window, so mentally that made it a lot easier. Water was 4 liters a day and I used diet drinks and coffee to curb the appetite. What about supplements? The only supplement I took was a multivitamin, and that was really just to cover my bases. You could count whey protein some days, but really that's just a protein source. It's not even really a supplement. It's just a convenient way to get more protein but after I think 3 days I stopped using it. My steps didn't change. The only thing that did change was instead of being 8 to 10,000 every single day like I normally am, I made sure I got the 10 every single day of this challenge. Training, I changed quite a bit. Most of my training is geared towards a sport or competition called High Rocks, which is quite intense and involves a lot of running and a lot of high intensity stuff, so not ideal for this type of extreme diet. So I focused more on strength and resistance training, and my schedule was upper body day, lower body day, and cardio day. I was absolutely not trying to set any records or lift my heaviest weights. I was always leaving 1 to 2 reps in the tank and not going near failure. The reason I did that is if I had have gone to failure all of the time, the extra strain would have made me more hungry. My cardio days were done on the bike erg, but on the first cardio day I ran, and it was about 45 minutes to an hour, really slow pace, but that running just made me so much more hungry for the rest of the day. I had to fight hard on that day, versus when I tried it on the bike erg on my next cardio day, it didn't have as big of an impact on my hunger levels. So did I really lose any fat? Yes, I absolutely did. I'll put a side-by-side of photos up. I tried to get it same time of day in the exact same position with the lights on, everything. I tried to keep it the same as much as possible. And you can clearly see, and I can see, it's tough when photos aren't filtered, but I know from myself looking at myself in the mirror, my abs are more visible, love handles are much smaller, and I'm just much leaner. A few people have asked me, what about muscle loss? Was I worried about losing a ton of muscle? In short, no. 13 days is not a massive amount of time that you're going to lose this drastic amount of muscle mass. As long as I didn't go nuts with my training and I kept my protein high, the risk over the 13 days was no more risky than a standard 6 to 8 week normal diet. Plus, muscle memory is a very real thing. So I had a decent amount of muscle mass going in. So if I lost a little bit of muscle, once I went back to normal calories and resumed my normal training, that muscle would come back to me much quicker than someone who is building muscle for the first time, say. Maybe not for the very first time, because those beginner newbie gains are incredible, but for someone just trying to build muscle in a regular situation. So what did I do after this was over? Well, on the Sunday we went for that beach day I mentioned earlier, I had around 2,000 calories. So that was a decent jump already. Over the next 2 to 3 days, I stuck around 2,000 calories just because I didn't want a massive spike in weight, and then worked my way back up to my new maintenance calories. That's a really important point, because I was 5 to 6 kg lighter now, so my maintenance calories were not as high as they were when I was 89.5 kilos. My new maintenance calories were around 2,700 to 2,800, so I worked my way slowly back up to that over 7 to 10 days. So sitting here now, a couple of weeks after, I still have about 4.5 kilos off. The 1.5 kilos that I regained is just my body's carb stores being full. And for every 1 gram of carbs in your system, your body will hold on to 3 to 4 grams of water. So there's a little bit of water retention as well. So what mistakes did I make? Honestly, if I was to do this again, I'd change a couple of things nutritionally. Keep the food way more simple. So even something like going from 5% lean mince to 3% lean mince, or scrapping the mince altogether and just going for turkey mince, picking the leanest protein, lowest calorie protein sources I can find. Likewise, I'd introduce as many high volume foods as I could. High volume foods just mean you can eat a lot of them for not a lot of calories. So for example, if I had 100 calories of chocolate and 100 calories of watermelon, the watermelon would physically be more food, so I'd be able to eat more for the same amount of calories. Simple things like I was using a Graham's high protein yogurt. It's got 25 grams of protein. It's really nice. It's got like 166 calories. I would swap that for a plain high protein yogurt that's lower in calories, and then use flavor drops to sweeten it up, saving myself some calories there. I'd potentially have 2 big ass salads a day so that I get to eat more food, and I just plan ahead more because I kind of threw myself into this, decided the day before. I didn't get to think this through in advance, so I was kind of winging it. That probably made it a little bit more difficult on me, but I would definitely do it again, and I would definitely change those few things so that I could eat more food for my calories. I hope that helps. I don't know if anyone even watched this far, but if you did, comment below, let me know what you think.